Welcome back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
And remember, our goal is always to guide you to personal and financial wellness.
Well, here we are for another wonderful edition of the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show.
You're going to remember that? After 7 years, you remember that?
Well, you know, we do the National Real Estate Cafe, we do signature listings. You know, you got to remember where you're actually on camera.
That's true. True story.
So, and we do this just to reach out. Our goal is to always reach out and try to guide you to personal financial wellness. That's why we started the show 7 years ago. And we do this with not just our knowledge and our tons and tons of experience, but also we bring in the best guests we can find that either a hot topic or education. And today it's both. And we have one of the best people to talk about one of the most controversial or sensationalized topics right now, which is the safety in our schools. And fortunately, we were able to steal away a half-hour time with one of our favorite friends and, longtime guest and multi-time mayor, councilman, LAPD, served our country, you name it. Sensational, but I think it's great that you came here today and you give so much, Mr. Bob Kellar.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, you run a real estate company out here at Keller Davis.
Yeah, I got a little one out there somewhere.
I tend to forget about that because we run a mortgage company, but we do this also to reach out as much as we can. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Always a pleasure, guys.
Very cool. So go ahead, Gino.
Yeah, I mean, where we left off is, and we could talk about this for hours, so 30 minutes is nowhere near enough, and we're not going to solve these problems today, but I think we were talking offline that, Santa Clarita is doing something. It's being discussed. You're trying to come up with a better plan, and if every time that something happens we continue to improve and continue to improve, then we're slowly going to hear less about these, hopefully.
And you're right on there, and I'm always very proud of our city for so many reasons, but I know that at City Hall we work very carefully with our law enforcement community out here and do everything we can to maximize the safety of the citizens of Santa Clarita. And it's a team effort, guys. It's not just the city of Santa Clarita, meaning City Hall, and the law enforcement. No, it's our citizens and volunteers. The list is endless. But all in all, we're doing pretty darn good here in Santa Clarita. We're still, for our size, one of the safest cities in America.
Yeah, now you mentioned offline during the break that Oak Tree Gun Club is involved in these conversations.
I was very honored, and this invitation took place before the Florida shooting. I was invited to attend a meeting there along with some other folks, some representatives from College of the Canyon, certainly the ownership of Oak Tree. A gentleman that is certainly no stranger to this community, Dr. Gino, who's a fantastic individual in our community who does so much. But we came together with some other folks and talked about the issues of suicide. And when you talk about suicide, of course, that was the primary. But then before we met, Florida went down.
Right.
So it might have expanded our area of discussion. Of course it did. And talking about mental health and
right.
identifying, and the list goes on and on. But once again, proactive in the community. I am delighted they invited me. I learned a lot, and hopefully I was able to add something to the discussion. But we're going to move forward and continue looking at some things that we can do to make it better.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love that. That's what's nice is they're taking responsibility and ownership to educate, because a lot I see it on social media. Everybody wants to beat up the NRA and all that. They blame it on the guns, but that's really not the issue, right?
I've been, and by the way, let's not have any hesitation here. I'm pretty vocal about this stuff. I've been a member of the NRA virtually my entire life. I was raised as a hunter with my father, and clearly you can put two and two together and figure I might have one or two guns at home. But I will tell you, the NRA is the organization that was responsible when I was a young boy to ensure that I learned all of the principles and safety that is associated with gun ownership and hunting and so on and so forth. They do everything in their power. And it saddens me when people go out here, the NRA is responsible and they're doing this and doing that. Let me tell you, the NRA is the best thing we've got going in America when it comes to gun ownership and safety and doing what's right. Does it mean that, just as we discussed earlier, gentlemen, maybe we need to revisit a couple of things? I really do have a problem with a 19-year-old kid in Florida being able to go out here and buy any form of an assault weapon. I fail to see the value of an assault weapon. And I'm sorry, but an AR-15 is a form of an assault weapon, whether it be semi or fully automatic. So these are things that I think that we can take a look at. I hope they're looking at it in Florida, and if it applies here, then so be it.
I guess the question for me has always been, right, and I own multiple guns as well. Ironically enough, my dad's completely anti-guns, but I grew up with in the house, he had guns, not even in a safe, right? But now he's anti-guns, right? It beats me how that changes. But, you know, the interesting piece for me, they're all locked up and super safe, and all of our guns are safer today than they ever were. The safeties that are on them, a million different precautions. Waited 30 days to get one, whatever it may be.
Yes.
Then you look at all that. There are all these restrictions in place. Really, ultimately, damage can be done with a van, with a car, with a knife, with a million different things. When someone's a criminal, when someone has a mental health problem and they want to hurt people, you could attack people with a bottle, with a broken piece of glass, with anything. So how do we get to that? You know, how do we deal with that? A lot of people are getting the social media bullying, right? That's a new thing we didn't have to deal with 30, 40 years ago. You know, kids are always self-conscious. They've always got these self-esteem problems when they go from, like, I don't know, 10 to 20.
It's multiplied. I mean, when we had issues in high school, it wasn't you weren't beat up on Facebook. It was just a few of your friends having a hard time, and you had your other friends that are your friends. Now it's pretty rough out there without, and then it has, you know, increased, I know, our suicide rates, unfortunately, amongst our kids.
They have gone up. They have gone up. There's no question about it. And
heroin, too. I mean, the drug use is out of control.
And you know what? And invariably, guys, not always don't, you know, there's never a flat statement to be made.
Right.
But the reality of it is, as long as we got human beings, you touched upon it, Gino, but they will find ways, if they're going to do harm, they'll figure it out one way or another that they're going to create that. But nevertheless, we as responsible adults, we need to do all we can to make things as safe as we can. And it's an ongoing responsibility. As long as we got human beings on the face of the earth, though, trust me, it will never be a perfect equation.
No doubt about that. But at least that's why we're bringing it up. It's not, you know, pointing fingers. It's just we all have to do whatever we can to do our part and pay more attention as much as possible to help avoid this as much as possible. And revisit it and adjust and fix and improve. Like you said, I mean, already the schools are completely different than when I went to Saugus High. There is no gates. I walked in underneath a pipe and then, you know, across the football field. Well, there is no way, no problem getting into the school.
But even just in the time that my kids have been in elementary school, it's already much more difficult to get on campus, for sure.
Without question. Yeah. It is.
All right, let's close on a really positive thing that's going on here in Santa Clarita with the new Salvation Army Station, right?
Can I tell you, I am so pleased and delighted to see that the Salvation, actually they've been here for a long time.
Right.
But now they're getting serious about being part of Santa Clarita.
Okay.
And they've got some great people that have come together over there. They've got new offices on Lyons just off of Newhall. Over there where they intersect, and they're doing a phenomenal job, bringing services, assisting certainly our people that are less fortunate, to include the homeless and people that live on the line. They certainly bring a high standard of helping their fellow man, be it through maybe some alcohol, drug issues, something of this kind. But the thing is, I am so delighted to have, and last night, if I may, I was honored they made me a member of the board over there, and
nice.
I think
tickled to be.
I think they're very fortunate.
Well, I will tell you, and if I may, just
you
add on.
It hits home for you.
Well, it does hit home, and this occurred last November. I was invited over there. Tippy Hedren was a special guest.
Oh, okay.
You remember the lady that played in the Birds? In the event, she was there, and I had the privilege of saying hi and shaking her hand. But I told a story that evening to the folks that were there, and they had an audience of about 100 people or so. That my mother was orphaned in 1933. She was 11 years old, and there was really no family to properly take care of her, and ultimately the court system turned her over to the Army, and the Salvation Army raised my mother until she was 18 years old. in a place called Lytton in mid-state California. And I can remember as a young boy and my mother telling me about being raised by the Salvation Army, and she said it was kind of almost a paramilitary organization and this, and boy, you better not mess up, and so on and so forth. And then she says, when it's all done, she says, you know what though? They raised me, and God bless the Salvation Army.
Wow, that's a great story.
It's a true story.
So how can, what's happening here with the Salvation Army, and how can more of our community be involved in that?
Well, I will tell you, and I'm going to make it my personal effort to do whatever I can to help get the word out to the value of the Salvation Army. And for those folks that find a soft spot in their heart, maybe either through volunteerism, maybe a couple of dollars can help, whatever. But it will all be appreciated. And as a matter of fact, on the 13th of March, our city council meeting, we will be giving a special recognition to the Salvation Army here and get the word out so this community knows that the Salvation Army is here, doing well, and is going to continue to help make our city and for all of us living here a better place.
Excellent.
Well, that is excellent. Well, thank you, and also for you helping make this a better place for all of us.
We're not done yet either.
You never are. That's why you
We're
keep
not
coming
done.
back. You keep coming back. I mean,
You bet.
Mayor, 4 times, and councilman. I mean, you just give back all the time. But thank you for sharing some of your time and kind of talking about sometimes tough subjects, but also informing us that we're paying attention.
Sometimes we need to talk about the tough issues.
And we know you do.
Yeah, true.
And also, how can they get a hold of you? If somebody needs to buy or sell a home, they can get a hold of Kellar
thank
Davis.
you for mentioning that.
Sure.
Yes, we Kellar Davis Real Estate. We have 3 offices, predominantly over in the eastern reaches of our community. But give us a call, 299-5570, and we'll do all we can to help you find a home or maybe market your home and do what we can to be of help.
Excellent.
Well, as a friend, we thank you, Bob Kellar, for being back on our show again and sharing such great information.
Please
really
invite me
appreciate
back.
it. All right.
We will, guaranteed.
Every month. Thank you, buddy. You have a great day.
You too.
All right, stay tuned. We got the second half of the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. Good stuff coming ahead. Don't go away.